It didn't get too cold last night. Only got down to about 30 degrees, so not too worried about a freeze on the skid steer this morning. It's supposed to warm up pretty good. You can see it's not even, things are just crumbling here. So there's no worries about being froze down. It's supposed to be in the 60s today, so we're gonna warm up pretty good. The bad thing about that is it's gonna get pretty greasy, but we'll try to make the most of it we can. Now yesterday, one of the last trees I worked up on the deck here, I seen it had a big nail sticking out of the side of it, so I was just going to cut that little piece completely out of the log. But in the midst of doing so, I found another nail, because I don't want to send nails to the mill and log. I mean, that's hard on their stuff. See all that blue in here? That's blue's bad news. Now, we're not showing blue in the butt down there, but that nail, well, maybe it was on, oh yeah, right over here. Sawed right through it 2 different places there. One there, one there. So, some blue over here too. So that's never good. Ruined a new chain, which I hate that. So what we're gonna do this morning is we'll cut this thing back a little bit and try to salvage it. And I made this log here in 8, which I think we got above the metal, because like I said there, when I cut this log, the reason I just made it an 8 because the nail was right here that I seen sticking out. So I was gonna cut right here, then cut right over here and just cut this whole piece out. So I think we've gotten away from our nail here, hopefully. But right here we'll try to get this guy cleaned up, try to cut it back a little bit. That way we can at least try to salvage the log, get something out of it. Try to recoup my losses from this saw chain getting tore up there. You can see here a lot of our end trimmings we get to the deck, just stuff that logs that come out that ain't, you know, they're bad. Some walnut there have cut bad. Actually, quite a bit of this walnut in this track here has cut bad. We didn't, after looking at it, really didn't think it would, but man, just some of that stuff, it looks good standing, but just goes to show you never know how it's going to cut sometimes. But you just got to try to plan accordingly for that. And you know, it all comes down to timber management too. It was a timber stand that was well overdue for being harvested, and probably should have been harvested, oh, probably at least 10 years ago, if not maybe a little longer. But that's all right. We'll get in here and thin it now, and that way it can be on the road to a healthy growth. Try to make it better for future harvests. So that's what we're going to do first thing this morning. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to try to clean these 2 logs up to I can get them in here, because I laid them up here just for that. Get them out of the way where I can have them up off the ground and see them good. So let's get things started up and get the day rolling. Now we let that skid steer warm up for just a second. We'll go over here and look at this log I cut off. Of course, on the one you could visibly see the nails where I'd cut through the nails with my saw yesterday. And what I did, I made that log longer. It was a 10-footer, and I cut it back to a 9. And really, I just took about 8 inches off of it. And you can see here, it's pretty much cleared up. Of course, that stain's going to go a little bit from the nails. Of course, there's the knot where I cut it off. Let's lean down here, roll this over. Which there you can see the nails pretty visibly where I cut through them. And the one nail, if I can find it, was sticking out of this log somewhere. And that's, so I knew they were there, but I just knew the one and not the 2 or 3 that were there. So we did clean up on it, and just like our better log here, our butt log, this log will be quarter sawn. It could go for stave material, but most of you guys that watch my channel know how I feel about the stave companies. So, and not all of them, just one in particular. But so we're sending all of our chinkapin and white oak up here to be quarter sawn. in which I think it's a better market anyway for us, for what we do. The money I think it's just about the same. It's a little less in the stave market, but we don't have near the deductions for what they do on the stave logs. And then like we can send in lengths 7 foot and longer for our quarter saw, and it doesn't have to be a particular length, so it works out pretty good. It actually comes out better, I think. But you can see here the stain's still in it from where the nails were here. And I've contemplating, I'm going to let my buyer look at it and see what he wants to do, because he's the one sawing it. And if he wants me to, I'll go ahead and cut this back a little further for him. So I'm going to leave this log out to where he can visibly see it. But I try to be upfront and honest out in the open with everybody on our logs. Just, yeah, they're blue. There's guys that, you know, they might drag these through the mud or try to cover that up with dirt or whatever, but man, just be honest and upfront with those guys. You're so much better off. So what we're going to do, I'll just leave this out, show him. I'll let him decide what he wants me to do with it. If he wants me to cut it back a few inches, try to eliminate that blue, just to give him a better peace of mind. But the great thing about it, he knows this, and we've dealt with him enough that he knows that we're not going to try to steer him wrong. It's because the relationship factor, it's not worth ruining a good relationship over a few extra dollars. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. I'm telling you guys this, that I'm sure most of you guys do the same kind of honest work we do, but guys that are curious about it, trying to slip one through, you're so much better just being honest and upfront. In the long run, you will come out so much better. So we'll leave that out. We're going to go ahead and throw this log over here in our oak pile, because it's just the saw log. Now the quarter saw stuff and the walnut I throw all out here in the main pile to where it can be scaled separately by itself here on the job site. Little rig sounds good. All right, she's warm. Let's jump in her. I think part of what surprises people sometimes is some of the pieces we're able to salvage. Like when we first started this job, and from the first time I looked at it, there was you can see the butt of it, we had to butt off. There was an old dead red oak that had fallen however many years ago and was laying across the old road here. Well, the first thing we did when we opened the road up was naturally cut that out and salvage a log. Well, there was still quite a bit above here, and that's a big tree. And yeah, it's not the best thing in the world. It's not at all. It's not gonna, especially this up here, ain't gonna cut any grade lumber. But you know what? That's still gonna cut some pallet material. And rather than it lay here and go to waste and wither away like it's been doing, I've already bucked this thing into lengths, and like I said, I'm waiting around on drag, so I've cut a sycamore here, and I've worked this thing up, just trying to stay busy, keep myself doing something. So I've worked this up, and we're going to put this in the pile, because it'll still bring some money. It'll bring money for my client and myself both, and I think that's a lot better than just leaving it there to go to waste. We try to salvage what we can when we do a harvest. Even if it's trees like this that, yeah, we didn't cut, but oh boy, it's slick. Come on, old girl. She's a bearcat. She's slick this morning on the old log road. Have to make another approach at this one. Well, things were going pretty good. We were having a pretty decent morning, and it seems like problems struck on both ends of the spectrum here. Pretty good walnut come out. Sycamore's real good that I cut. Good red oak. Real good red oak. Good bur oak down there come out. But here's one of the big problems. We got Mike doing some clean out on it right now. And he guesses and he guesses and he guesses. We got a flat tire. We threw a track. And this is only the third time I've ever thrown a track. And when it decided to go this time, it went. And a lot of that is, and this is my fault completely, is as greasy as this is, slipping and sliding around on this, when you get those tracks on inclines and get to really pushing, you know, the weight against the sprockets and the idlers, you're bound to determine, if you ramrod around like I was, to throw a track off. And I think it happened right up in here on the road when I was trying to get this cleaned up here, because I bucked these logs to length and packed them out. Well, I got the big one out there, and I think because I was having so much trouble here sliding around, I think I started to throw it, and I didn't really notice it or hear it. And if you catch it soon enough, a lot of times you can back up and kind of get it back on there if it's not too bad. But obviously that's not what I did, and we got down here and threw it completely off. So, and to add insult to injury, Kenny came out on the skidder a minute ago with a drag, and we got a steer cylinder. It's leaking pretty bad all of a sudden. So that's logging for you. It's just one thing after another. It seems like it's something different every day. So we'll try to get up here the first of the week. We're going to go home tonight, get up here the first of the week and put that track back on. Luckily the weather's not supposed to be down around freezing up here for the next week or so, and they've taken all the rain chances out till next Thursday, so that should give us ample time to get that thrown back on. Now, you guys that watch the channel regularly, you'll remember that we had this problem back in April of last year, and Brandon and I got it put back on, but I don't think it was near this bad, and putting it on wasn't a whole lot of fun. It took a little time, but it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. I don't think it'll be too big of a deal to get it put back on there, because we'll use the skidder to assist with it, and just bring some pry bars and try to get all that cleaned out good today, and we'll just we'll bring some jacks and use the forks to get it propped up. We might even try to put a log in here, that way we can kind of just use that to raise it up and get it completely off the ground to start it. Then we'll go from there, is how we did it last time. So gonna make a short day, unfortunately, but Kenny's went over here to the next place over. This landowner's spoken to us about harvesting his timber while we're here, so he's going over there to look to see if there's anything marketable over there that we can get for a harvest. Then I guess we'll see how that plays out. But we still got a decent amount of trees to cut here. The walnut's kind of winding down on it, but we got quite a bit of oak to cut, I think. Pretty good jag of walnut this time. So I guess next Monday, we'll be fighting some repairs, back at it again. It's always something, never fails, always something.